If moving to Tampa is your 2026 plan, December 31st is your real deadline, not your closing day. If you miss these 3 moves before year end, you'll pay thousands more in taxes, potentially miss school wait list, and face insurance surprises that could derail your relocation. And if we've never met before, my name is Juan Alcalá, and almost 7 years ago, my wife Kate and I relocated from Michigan to Tampa Bay and have been loving it ever since. We've helped almost 200 families make the move without costly do-overs as well. And here's what we learned over that time. Most people focus on finding perfect houses, but the ones who really succeed, they've done their homework early and handled the boring paperwork up front. So today I'm breaking down the exact moves you need to make before December 31st, and the one form they forget to fill out that literally can cost them up to 5 figures. All right, here's why December matters. What most people get wrong about moving to Tampa Bay, they think the timeline starts on closing day. And here's the reality, it doesn't. Florida has residency dates, homestead dates, insurance requirements, school windows, and club waitlists that you need to be aware of. Miss December 31st and you're paying for all of it in 2026. High-income families don't fail for lack of money, they fail for lack of sequence. You can't backdate residency. You can't rush homestead. You can't skip the insurance line. Tampa rewards people who do the boring stuff early. And if you're moving to Tampa in 2026, that boring stuff needs to happen in the next 40 days. So what are the big 3? Well, number 1 is you're gonna lock in your Florida residency paper trail. If you wanna take advantage of the homestead tax benefits that save you literally 5 figures for 2026, you need to be living in Florida as your primary residence by January 1st. That makes December your practical deadline. So what is the paper trail that you actually need? Well, you need a Florida driver's license, you need vehicle registration, voter registration, a declaration of domicile filed with the county, we'll get into that later. You need to update your insurance and banking addresses, and also file for United States postal mail forwarding. And here's why this matters. When you file for a homestead exemption in early 26, this paper trail proves Florida is your permanent home. And if you don't have the paper trail, the county can deny your application. And that could cost you thousands in property taxes, literally. So make sure you start this process now. You don't want to wait until you close on your new home. The second thing you're going to want to do is set up your homestead and portability. Florida's homestead exemption saves you $50,000 off your assessed value. That's real money at the end of the year. But here's what most people miss: portability. If you currently own a Florida home, you can transfer your Save Our Homes cap from your current residence to your new one. This can save you tens of thousands in taxes over time. If you're moving from out of state, you'll need to be in your new home by January 1st. You'll want to file that homestead application right after the new year with the county that you move into, and the deadline is March 1st, but make sure you file early. If you're moving within Florida, contact the county property appraiser now, line up portability before you close, and don't wait. Because let's be real, y'all, that's a government entity and they're gonna start taking a lot of time off between now and the new year. The form only takes 5 minutes to fill out and the savings can be 5 figures. And number 3 is a big one. We're talking about schools and lifestyle wait list. Application windows for magnet schools, schools of choice programs, and top private schools open late fall through winter. If you're touring schools in March of 26, you're already too late. The spots are most likely going to be gone. Now, is it possible that you get in? Yes, but you're going to be on a wait list. So make sure you start now. Schedule tours of the target schools you're looking for, get applications submitted, get on the wait list. And the same goes for lifestyle and sports clubs. If you're looking to join a country club, there's going to be a wait list. Tennis clubs, wait list, tennis instructors. You know, we have a lot of families that move here for soccer and sports of all kinds for their kids. You're looking for a marina slip? Typically there's a wait list involved. So the lifestyle you want in August is decided by what you do in November and December. And I remember what this was like when Kate and I were first considering moving here. We sold our home in May, we hung out with family, and in September we started to try to get a seasonal rental. We thought we would hang out for the winter and make a decision then, and boy was I wrong. We started calling real estate agents in the area, and they basically laughed us off the phone. They said, I'm sorry, but people make those decisions a year in advance and no less than spring of that existing year. And we missed out. We ended up having to get a full year rental, which wasn't the end of the world. It worked out great for us, and then we ended up buying a home. We told the story many times on this channel before, but if you wait until you close on your new home to think about your schools and clubs, you'll spend 2026 potentially on a waiting list, and that's not the life you came here for. Now those are the big three that must happen before December 31st, but here's what tips up most relocations, especially for families moving to waterfront or Gulf communities: insurance. You can do everything right with residency, homestead, and schools, but if you don't understand Florida's insurance before you close, you're going to get a very expensive surprise on day one. And let me show you what most people and inexperienced real estate agents miss. The mistake is assuming that insurance works like the state you're moving from. Florida insurance is not like insurance anywhere else. Premiums are higher, coverage is harder to get, and if you're buying waterfront or an older home, you need to know what you're walking into before you make an offer. So here's what you need to do, and here's how we walk our clients through it. Step one is you're gonna shop insurance early. Before you make an offer, get a quote on the house that you're looking at, because you're gonna wanna know, what will the homeowner's insurance cost? What will the flood insurance cost if it's required? Should you carry it regardless of whether it's required? Can you even get covered? Some coastal homes are uninsurable without major updates, and you don't wanna wait to the last minute to find that out once you're under contract and crush the dreams that you had of buying that beautiful coastal home. The second one is we wanna make sure that we're doing a 4-point inspection and wind mitigation, all right? During the inspection period, we're gonna order these 2 types of reports. A 4-point really is what it says. It covers 4 basic points of a property. It covers the roof, structural, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing. And insurance requires this for homes that are 30 years or older. So wind mitigation, this one documents hurricane resistant features. This matters a lot if you're buying a coastal property. Not so much if you're inland, but you still are going to have a wind mitigation. Your insurance is gonna request that. They're gonna talk about roof clips, impact windows, opening protection. It's a lot of in the weeds stuff, but we're more than happy to help you through this. And these reports can really lower your premiums by as much as 20 to 40%. Without them, you're overpaying from day one. That's the reality of it. And in some instances, the mortgage companies won't even allow you to move forward if these things aren't taken care of and brought up to code. The third one is understanding flood insurance, and you don't want to necessarily always just trust the flood map color, if you will. I've showed these flood maps quite often. We've got the Pinellas County evacuation map that I show all the time. There was also just an update to the flood potential map. The elevation certificate of a house matters tremendously. Y'all, please learn from my scars, right? We've shared our journey, how we were flooded during Hurricane Milton last year. Our home sits 43 feet above sea level. We did not get wet because of storm surge. What happened was our home is the lowest in our neighborhood. And back in the 70s when they built houses, not everybody was making sure with a laser level or a GPS that these homes were right on plane with each other and the water sloped away. So I've got neighbors on each side of my house that are up just a few inches and a new neighborhood behind us that was up a couple feet. And what ended up happening, 18 inches of rain in about 6 hours, and our home ended up getting wet. It wasn't a 4-foot, water surge in the inside of the house, but it was just enough to ruin everything on the inside. So make sure you're checking those elevation certificates. Most counties actually have them as public record. You can check the flood history of a property. We now require flood disclosures in the state. So if the property has ever flooded, the seller is legally obligated to let you know that. Now, can people lie? Sure, but you have legal ramifications to go back after them. Flood quotes alongside homeowners insurance quotes. We're in a non-flood zone, but again, we got wet, so now we carry a flood policy. The great part is that flood policy is fairly inexpensive. We paid less than $500 to get a $250,000 flood insurance policy on the property. And if you're buying waterfront or near water, flood insurance is going to be mandatory, so make sure you're budgeting $2,000 to $5,000 a year depending on the elevation of that specific home. Reach out to us. We'll get into the weeds with that with you if you're looking for a waterfront property specifically. And the other thing we learned about Florida is the cheapest quote isn't always the lowest risk. You really have to dive into these policies, right? On our Zoom sessions that we have with our clients, we get into the weeds of these conversations, unpack them, and really help you understand what you're looking at so you can make a qualified decision. So you've handled the big three before the end of the year. You've got insurance dialed in, but here's a question we get from families all the time. Juan, how do we time the financing and selling of of our property when we're out of state and buying in Florida. And this is where the sequence matters most, especially if you're coordinating a sale in another state and relocating here to Florida. So we wanna make sure we dial that in. So I'm gonna walk you through it. One of my favorite tricks is to not only get pre-qualified for a mortgage, and we'll talk about that in a second, but to get pre-underwritten. A pre-qualification is nothing more than a 10-second phone call. You can literally call a lender and say, my credit score is 780 or 820 and I make X dollars. And there are companies who are willing to issue you a piece of paper that says that you are pre-qualified to buy a home. But the reality is that is not always true. And I've seen way too many painful situations from what I would call unscrupulous lending activities, or more importantly, just trash pre-qualifications rather than taking the time to get underwritten. You know, it's a full review of your financial documentation. And if you're looking to make a move from one state to another, you wanna make sure that you have your finances in order. Why? Because this will allow a lender to fully underwrite you. If they have your income and assets verified, employment verified, your 401k, everything that they need in front of them, they can make a qualified decision about making an investment into you and your family. And that's what a mortgage actually is, right? It also allows you to get deeper with questions like, what kind of rate locks can I qualify for? Are buy downs available to me? How much in seller financing or seller credits can I take based upon my loan amount? This matters. People don't always ask these questions, and they really can help you when you're writing an offer. It helps you get really strategic and get the best deal and the best terms for you when you're writing that offer on that new house. So don't wait until you find the home. Make sure you line this up early. Most pre-approvals will last 90 days. Same thing with your fully underwritten approval as well. Now, how do you coordinate those timelines? You know, if you're selling out of state and buying here, you'll need a strategy. There are things like bridge loans that you can do. There's home equity lines of credit that allow you to buy first, then sell. There's short-term rental options in Tampa, so you can look around before you purchase while your home is still on the market back home, wherever that is. And then you can buy cash. You know, there are contingent offers. Here in Tampa Bay, we are seeing homes take anywhere from 70 to 90 days on average to sell. Now, a great home in a great neighborhood is always gonna sell the fastest for the most money, but there are a lot of negotiations taking place, which allows you to have a contingent offer. And if you've never heard that term, what that really means is if your home is on the market somewhere else and it is not under contract or it's not scheduled to close, will a home seller accept your offer with your home not being under contract? That technically would be a contingency. So that's an example, right? And the best offer isn't always the highest priced. Typically, it's the least complicated with the most money for the seller. And sometimes it's just the least complicated that gives them the most peace of mind. And typically sellers don't want contingency, but if you can show them things like a fully underwritten pre-approval and the fact that your home is on the market, you can win. And if you're selling your primary home in another state, you know, the federal government gives you some tax flexibility. Now, this is going to be specific to people who have a lot of equity in their home. Now, if you're a single person and you own a home and you sell a home, I wanna give you guys a specific example. Let's say you own a home for $500,000. You bought that home for $250,000. And we're gonna keep it simple math. We're not gonna get into closing costs and all that stuff. If you sell that for $500,000, you're gonna net $250,000. Again, we're not getting in closing costs. That would allow you to take that whole $250,000 without any capital gains tax penalties on it, which is great. If you're married, you get up to $500,000. So what would that example be? If you owned $1 million home that you bought for $500,000, you sold it for $1 million, that $500,000 could be moved without paying a capital gains tax, which is awesome. You can also do things like 1031 exchanges if you're selling an investment property to purchase another one. So this timing can lead to big decisions. If you have a CPA, make sure you're having discussions with them. If you want more details on it, of course, make sure you reach out to us. We're happy to help you through that. And remember, Florida has no state income tax, but your former state that you're moving from might want a piece of it. So make sure that you have a full understanding of what that looks like, because ultimately you want to make sure you get this right and keep more of the money that you get from that sale. Don't get it wrong, or you're going to be writing checks to the government, which nobody wants to do. So where are home buyers winning? So you handled all your paperwork, you've lined up your financing, now where should you actually look to buy? Well, here's where we see our families winning right now. South Tampa, areas like Beach Park, Hyde Park, and Davis Islands. These areas are walkable, there's private schools available, 20 minutes to Tampa International Airport. This is old Tampa money. Areas like West Chase, the master plan community with A-rated schools, resort style amenities without South Tampa's price per square foot. There's also areas like Odessa up in Northwest Hillsborough with newer luxury builds, trails, parks, 20 acres of green space, great blend of space and lifestyle. Safety Harbor and Old Northeast in St. Pete, these are two of my favorite areas. Think charming, boutique, quick bay access, walkable downtown. Retirees and empty nesters love these two areas. They're incredible. And what if you're into that golf club living? Take a look at areas like Cheval and Lutz and Land O'Lakes. You got private golf, tennis, social calendars. You can get a membership and get on the wait list now. The thing you're gonna wanna do is really dial in those neighborhoods so you don't have to go see 20 to 30 of them. You just need to see the ones that fit your ideal lifestyle. And on our first Zoom calls together, I build basically what I'm calling a lifestyle triangle with you. It's the school's commute and lifestyle experience that you're really looking for. I pull up Google Maps right in front of you and show you the areas that match the ideal lifestyle that you're describing to us, not just the ones that people pull up on Google every single day. Now I want to share with you the exact plan we use with our private client. Number one, we do a strategy call and map session. We define the lifestyle, the budget, your timeline. We screen share the map, show you communities that match that ideal lifestyle, talk about the schools, insurance, and even specific properties if that's what you would like to do. We'll narrow them down to 2 to 3 target areas that really interest you, because just spending 10 minutes on a map is literally going to save you 10 hours plus in the car when you come to visit. The second thing we're going to help you do is come in and do some community shopping. Literally in a 72-hour weekend, you can pack in a ton of education that will help you clearly identify which one of these neighborhoods and communities are speaking directly to you. And the next thing I'll do is I'll connect you to my personal lender. This is literally the person that write the mortgage on my house. Now, I also recommend a few others, so if Shannon is not for you, we completely understand, but I want to get the best people in front of you possible. We've got a great inspection company here. I think Ryan is one of the most detail-oriented human beings I ever met. That's why I chose him to do the inspection on my home. I recommend the same people who have worked on my properties. Now, they're not the only people we have access to, but again, they are the best. That's why we recommend them. If you want help with moving, we can help coordinate the utilities, the movers, cleaning, and even help you with that first month checklist, if you will. And if you're closing in late December to meet that January 1st deadline, I'm gonna help you over prepare so you're not spending New Year's hunting for box cutters. I wanna make sure while your neighbors are making resolutions, you're already at the beach this winter. So here's the truth about moving to Tampa. It's not just about finding the perfect home. It's about doing the boring stuff first so the perfect house doesn't turn into a financial mess and a huge mistake. Do the big 3 before December 1st. Make sure you start your residency paper trail, set up your homestead and portability if that's on your agenda, so you can get on those schools and lifestyle wait list. We wanna make sure that we handle the insurance part early. We want to pre-underwrite your financing and talk to a great CPA if that's necessary for you. Because here's what I've learned making the move. Tampa is going to reward intentionality. So if you skip December, you're probably going to end up spending the spring paying for winter's procrastination, and nobody wants that. So if you want my year-end checklist, which includes my inspector, my lender, and my insurance company, or you want to jump on a private Zoom session so I can open up the map and really help you identify the communities that most ideally match your lifestyle, all my contact information is listed down below. There's even a link to our website down below, which will ask just a couple questions before taking you to my personal calendar where you can schedule that Zoom call directly. I hope today's video helped provide a ton of value. YouTube's gonna put 2 more videos up here that are gonna help you with that relocation journey. And as always, until next time, go out and live that Tampa life.